Major Handsome Guy Check. It's
The No Class Podcast
with your handsome hosts, Eddie
and Matt.
See, I'm starting off the bat today talking us up.
Aren't you just so thoughtful? We talked about, if we had a logo for our podcast, I said, why don't we put our pictures on there? And he's like, no, people will vomit and run screaming,
But a picture is in the works.
Holy scramoly.
So we'll see. Hopefully you guys will get to check it out soon. Yeah. Those are part of the special secret projects that we're working on here.
Oh my, secret projectory.
Keep you guys into the dark so it'll be that much more exciting when they come to fruition.
Mm-hmm. Delicious.
All right. Well, speaking of delicious, we are not powered by Bodacious Barbecue today.
And that makes me, a single tear of brisket juice is running down my cheek.
So I guess we can talk about this if you're in the Longview area.
Oh my, we're going to dish dirt, but local dirt.
Just a little
dirt.
That our beloved Bodacious, all their employees, all the people that made the magic happen are gone.
You took the words out of my mouth. The people that made it magical.
And they are starting up Sunbird Barbecue.
It's Kimmy and Brian and David, who's their partner in crime and can slice a mean brisket.
But it's this is where you see how off the cuff we are, in the Heritage,
which is on 259 going north towards Diana. Probably about 5 minutes outside of town, 5 to 10. It's not far in the grand scheme.
About 2 weeks from now, I think they're opening up, which might be a week from hearing this actual podcast.
Yeah.
But
really nice folks. They make some amazing barbecue, and now they'll have some good sides. We learned the dirt we're like, man, their sides are poopy. Well, it's not their fault. They were made to use Cisco store-bought sides,
generic stuff,
and not allowed to kind of cook their own stuff. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do now.
Yeah, it's only going to be up from here. The Sunbird will fly.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
But we may not be powered by barbecue for a little bit.
Why is that?
Because we got to wait on them to reopen.
I thought you have a secret stash of brisket to keep you. You're going to be eating it in little dribs and drabs.
I have a secret stash.
Some people's children.
Exactly.
Yeah. Smart man. I do the same thing.
Which last night we had this fantastic thing called bochos.
Oh, yeah.
Which is go ahead and make your nachos, just some chips and cheese, then throw some barbecue on that and throw some chopped up brisket. It's a little slice of heaven.
Yeah. See, like me, I love brisket tacos.
Which they're going to be out in Harlan. This will be way too late for any of you guys to act on, but they're going to be out in Harlan, Texas this weekend doing some brisket tacos.
Not to be that guy, but it's Harleton.
Oh, yeah. Anyway. I'll edit that out.
Okay, good.
I won't edit that out. Yeah, well, my wife drives through there on her way to work every day.
The death trap that is I-20. Yeah, hallelujah on that too. Glad to hear it. So, I'm excited for our good friends, the former Bodacious, now Sunbird. Sunbird. The bird is the word.
So if you're a local, go check them out. If you're Ace, and maybe we'll mail you some. We'll have to get some dry ice or something.
I will say, no, they intend to do shipping of their barbecue.
And so we'll send some out to Ace.
Yeah, we ought to. We should do that.
You know where he's at, right?
He's in the UK, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's a cool cat. He's in
the
United Kingdom.
Think how much that would cost and how much of a hassle it would be to get through the customs if it would get to him in a timely manner.
Oh, yeah. Because that brisket is the bomb. But what he'll have to do, he'll have to come visit us, and we'll treat him to the best barbecue in East Texas.
Well, speaking of come visiting us, we had some special visitors to the Long Con Spring. Long
Con Spring 2021?
That's right. So we're going to skip all of our little pop culture stuff for now. We'll see how long this podcast goes. We're going to start it off talking about a Long Con Spring recap.
Long Con Spring 2021. We had Doug Ray. We had Gary Oliver as our special guest. Those guys, so good to see them. Our friends from NTRPG. Ben Burns was there as a vendor, but also was running games. I'm really excited for Ben. He's got a new Kickstarter. Where it's called the Corsairs of Cthulhu. His game brand is New Comet Games. And so we got to see David Donahue. He's a great vendor, great guy. It's always good to see him. And we saw people like Fergie. He's a hoot, and his bud. Crystal Elf, formerly, was there. I can't remember her new name for her stand. Game Night Games was there, and those figs were amazing. So just really a neat mix of vendors. Good to see some old friends and new friends at the Spring Con. You know, we limited sales, but even with that being said, we had a good turnout.
Yeah, we probably hit around 60.
Yeah. And that's with us, like I said, limiting sales. So I'm really optimistic for November. I'm excited for November. But I'm trying to think of, like, my Friday game. I ran 5th edition D&D, and I ran Adventures League module, Ridders of the Twilight Marsh. And we had our new friends there, Jill and Charlie from Iowa. We had some Iowans make the trek, an adventure unto itself, to come play at our Spring Con in person.
So whenever you think that your reach is not very far, where it's like, yeah, our popularity is the city lines of Longview, Texas. There you go. Somebody out there has heard of us. It's not just Ace.
Yeah. And so you had a game on Friday, didn't you?
Most likely. But what was it? Who knows such things?
Wow.
I believe it was it Barbarians? Yes, it was.
It was.
Let's say it was Barbarians.
Seems like I'm testing you.
That was indeed the name of the module, which that was pretty funny in itself. Do you know how that one got its name?
No.
So when I was creating the con website for this year, I put one in that was called Test, T-E-S-T. And this is the test game just to make sure everything's up and working right.
I said that, and you said you're full of crap.
Yes.
I hate you so much.
This is why I do those things.
So I said, that's just, you put that in there just to test the system. No, I didn't. That's the game I'm running, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you.
So
nerd.
10 minutes after he said that, it became the test, which has been the improv game that I've been running in Barbarians. So I had run it one time here at the house, and I ran it there. Barbarians is just a hit in general.
It's a great game system. Great game.
So that was good fun. I had the Lilies with me. Had our buddy Matt, and I was wanting to say, was there anybody else?
Was Karen there? The Lilies.
That's part of the Lilies.
The matriarch. Yeah, she's pretty much their package down, and they're so much fun to game with. I just really love the Lilies.
Yeah, so she was playing a barbarian, and whenever it came up time for the barbarian to do their mighty battle cry, she did the mighty battle cry.
Hot dog.
And then her son Jason said,
Jason, Gus, Dominic, and Karen
said, well, if you hop up on the table, you really have to, act this out. And I was like, I would give you extra destiny points for that. Yeah. So who knows? Soon we may be buying Hilton a new table.
Yeah, there you go. Or someone a new hip.
Well, they're already bionic. But we found that out as we went through. But one of the interesting things of that game, since it was improv, is their town was famous for a ghost basketball league.
Nice.
So what was stolen was the ghost basketballs.
Oh my!
Which are a power source for the ghost basketball league there.
The Amityville Ghost Trotters or something.
So there you go. When you do an improv game, these are the things that will happen.
But I love that. That sounds like a perfect match for Barbarians of the Ruined Earth.
Yeah, and I think Matt Evans would shine his smiles of sunshine down on me to hear that they had the car Gollum fighting one of the car's snakes. So you have a giant robot made up of cars fighting a giant massive snake made out of train cars.
That is a great visual. That's an awesome visual.
So that was pretty cool. And that's the kind of things that you can do in Barbarians of the Ruined Earth.
With first level characters. I love that.
High flying action.
High flying Saturday morning cartoon, over the top, professional wrestling, Mad Max, Thunder the Barbarian, He-Man, all rolled up into one big beautiful ball.
So every time somebody plays Barbarians, they get turned on to it. I haven't had anybody walk away from that yet and go like, meh, this is not my system.
Yeah.
It may not be your all the time system, but you'll have a good time playing it.
Yeah. I think if the players in the gym go into it with the right mindset, you'll have a ton of fun. Yeah.
Well, did you have anything else to say about your Friday game?
No, I mean, it was,
as they ran from Velvet the Dragon.
Yeah, I was laughing because when you were like, why are you running that? And I thought, well, good Lord, they call it Dungeons and Dragons. And I was like, darn it, at a con game, I want to have a dungeon and there better be a damn dragon.
So that one was swamps and dragons.
But there is a submerged lair, a.k.a. a dungeon.
It lives in a lair.
And there was certainly a dragon. And I had fun with the dragon in the fight. They won the day and got all kind of fat loot. But that's you're having fun.
That's the point.
Yeah, you killed the dragon, you got the loot. Woohoo! So they had a good time, and everyone was great at the table. It was great to play with our buddy. I feel bad now.
You should.
Yeah, darn it. I can see his face in my. But anyway, haven't seen him in a minute, and he came to our first long con here. Chris, yeah. Chris James, yeah. It was great to play with him. He's just a lot of fun and a great guy. I mean, everyone at the table was great. Kyle was there, John, our local guys. Everyone played well, but our new friends from Iowa, they really shone. They were a lot of fun. They got into the game. It was a real joy playing with them. Anyway, yeah. I hope I didn't forget anybody. Ron was there, of course. We love Ron, and he was great. Ron played really. He has grown so much in the few years. He's a fantastic gamesman and role player, and just a joy to game with.
Yeah, that's somebody that you can go back and look at. Just like this guy didn't know what a D20 was 2 years ago,
and now he shows everybody up.
Exactly,
so it's phenomenal. But anyway, that's all the shout outs. But I had a fun time, and that's the goal. And yeah, that was it for Friday.
And we did have a special dinner for some of the special guests and stuff, which was again powered by
Sunbird Barbecue.
Yep.
And everyone raved about the brisket, and there was some trash talk about the sides, but that it turns out that's not their fault, But anyway,
so never bring it up again.
Never.
We shall never speak of this again.
We don't do that here. All right. So,
I'm trying to think if there was anything else exciting on Friday to talk about. I don't.
Well,
that was it. I ran a game and you ran a game, and
unfortunately, my game went late, so we really didn't get to socialize much Friday night. But Saturday, go ahead.
Saturday was the second day of the con.
It was indeed, sir. And I led out with a game of the Black Hack. This is my first time actually running the Black Hack, and I ran what used to be my Mansion of Madness, which you'll be running in 5th edition in NTRPG. But I've converted over to Black Hack as the Palace of Pandemonium. And I think the players had a blast, and I had a lot of fun, and I'm champing at the bit to run some more Black Hack. It's a lot of fun. I mean, imagine a lot of things you like about Barbarians, well, because it's baked into the DNA.
I like being overpowered.
Exactly.
Will I be overpowered when I play Black Hack?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But I mean, it depends. Like, this is fantasy gaming 101, but I mean, early D&D games back in the day, if you want to be really powerful in the early game, play a meleeist, of course. But over time, just like the old days, I could see the wizard being he'd be the one that I'd be going, you're frustrating all my plans as a game master. But Gus played the warrior, and he had a ton of fun. He called himself Bull. And by the way, we generated characters at the table, old school. Didn't take long because old school, but there was a lot of neat little touches to make you feel unique and got that old school feel that I think they really dug that. Like I told the guy playing the clerk, I said, guess what? You decide. I'm going to give you a few minutes, decide who your god is, what he's called, what his ethos is. I'm going to give you 1 destiny point if you do that. I'm like, all right, Bull, come up with your insignia, your heraldry. I'll give you a destiny point for that. Okay, Rogue, tell me why you have a stolen heart in your possession. So Karen had to think on her feet, and in 5 minutes she's like, well, here's my story about why I have a heart in my. And Jason and Dominic, they had to come up with their shtick. So I had them do certain things to make their characters a little more interesting, and I rewarded them with destiny points or whatever, which technically that's a Mike Evans jam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I might have done you one better because at the end of our Barbarians, I had them level up.
Mm-hmm.
So did you guys take a minute and level up?
They had gotten quite a bit of loot and were beat to a nub. And they were like, and I love it, they're smart. They said, we should go back to town. And I thought, yep, I won't say anything else about that because, people listening might be playing Mansion or Palace soon. They went back to town, and that's part of the thing about Black Hack is you boast and you drink at the tavern and talk about your deeds, and that's how you level up. And once again, I think they really enjoyed that they got to boast about their daring do at the mansion and how they survived in harrowing, odds or whatever. And you spend a few coins to grease palms, buy people drinks, but you're rich now. You come back from the adventure. Oh yeah, they've been ding, ding, ding. They all leveled up.
Well, I think you said they didn't get all that far in it, right?
Well, yeah, the thing is, I don't want to spoil anything for mansions for people, but yeah, there's one room early in the adventure that
full of loot.
It's full of loot, and there's a lot of stuff to interact with in that one room if you play your cards right. They literally spent an hour and a half in that room, but no one had any complaints. They had a ton of fun. So they pretty much just totally Greyhawked that room and then fought this bad creature not far from that one room. And between the two combats, and some traps and things they set off. They were like, woof, we need to go. So yeah, but I said, you know what? That's enough. You leveled, if you go boast in town. Yeah. So they got to roll against all their stats and improve their hit points, all that stuff. And Jason and Dominic got more spells, and the cleric.
So one of the things that I know people were interested in is we had talked about, like, there'll be a part 2 or a continuation of these characters since we leveled them up. Yeah. And that's something I don't think you get a lot at cons. We're making our own, like, Adventures League Living Greyhawk for the con. So it's like, hey, if you bring those back next time, you can have them in one of Matt and Eddie's adventures.
And it's funny, I don't think, as usual, we didn't compare notes on that, but it's funny, and look who we had predominantly in these two groups, the Lilies. But I told them, I said, keep these characters, and we can pick up this adventure the next time I see you or whatever. So that's.
But the thing is, next time you could run a Barbarians, and I could run Mansion of Pandemonium.
Yeah.
And it would all be the same
mm-hmm.
because it's a shared universe or whatever. Yeah. And I'd like to see something like that across the long con.
How about a crazy crossover where there's a dimensional portal? Bum, bum, bum. The Black Hackers could go to suddenly the Thundar characters, like there's Beastmen in the old dungeon or whatever. That's kind of a fun concept.
But there is some life in these characters. It's not like, it's just a convention, one and done, wad it up and throw it away.
Yeah, because, I won't lie. I keep my characters as kind of a keepsake, and it's funny. I'll find them stuck off in a game book, and I'll look at them, and it'll bring back, I remember the guy we played with, and Eddie was there, and Papa John or whoever, or TJ that time, or Gary, and it's the fun. It's like a little, I don't know, touchstone is the right word, but yeah, it kind of harkens back to that moment, little wave of nostalgia, so it's fun.
They had a brief and intense 4 to 6 hour life, and that's it, and it takes you back to a moment in time to look at those.
But how cool to be able to, that's like you look at I think, isn't it Mike Battleado, Bad Mike? He runs a ongoing thing like year after year at the con at NTRPG, so it's cool. It's like the old classic box set module In Search of the Unknown. And because the thing was, what the first level was fleshed out, the second level was just rooms that you were supposed to fill in the details. And I think he does that, and it's an ongoing thing or something. I've always wanted to play it, just never had the opportunity.
I was doing Temple of Elemental Evil like that.
That's expansive.
But yeah, it kind of got to where, because of the time of the COVID, certain people wouldn't be there. It's like, well, you played 90% of it. I feel bad wrapping it up without you being here and blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of gone by the wayside, but maybe the replacement will be that there's, like I said, the shared universe and something maybe a lot of the long con GMs, DMs, storytellers, etc. will grab onto that concept and go, instead of just everything being first level, there'll be a little bit more second level. This will build on. And
you make a good point, because I thought about one of the things, I love going to cons, and there's so many good reasons, and we're all going, that's another good reason to go to a con. But one of the things that's to me is somewhat disappointing is, and don't get me wrong, it's great to play a one shot of something, especially, I try to play new games. Well, I never played this game before, so it'll be interesting to see how this game works and the system for a one shot. But if it's a tried and true system I already know, it's kind of a little disappointing, like, well, this character's like a one and done. Like you said, kind of a throwaway character. How cool would it be to be invested? And then I'd really be looking forward to going back to that con to play with that GM to play that character again. But so that's a brilliant idea.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right.
So as we move on through Saturday comes the internationally renowned adventure Carnage in the Casino. Loved by millions. So we played that. That was a MCC 0 level module.
But would you say it's MCC or more like American Wasteland?
It's a lot closer to American Wasteland, because there was a lot of stuff where, because I haven't read it in a while, I was like, oh yeah, apparently I had these road leathers and rifles, and those weren't in the MCC book. Those are definitely from America. So,
thank you, Reed Sanfilippo.
But I don't even know how that would work. Would I have to license it through Goodman Games or through Reed Sanfilippo's publishing, if you actually wanted to get that out there and about, right?
That's a curious question, yeah.
I guess Dark Trails would somewhere, or should I say Weird Frontiers is somewhat in there.
Yeah.
That you're building off the bones of DCC, since it's DCC compatible. Do you have to get double permission?
And that's curious.
That'd be a good question for our good friend, David Beatty.
That's right, yeah.
He would know.
He would know.
And he'd reply.
Yeah.
He'll answer our questions.
Yeah, we hope. Yeah, no, I know he would. Dave's awesome. He's a great guy.
But the Carnage in the Casino was pretty good. They pretty much went through and saw the whole thing. which is unusual. I was using fleeting luck, which is
always great for a funnel.
Yeah. So that gives you a lot of help too. It's like I can put the screws to you, but there's fleeting luck, so that's going to balance it out. I can be a real jerk about things, but you have that fleeting luck to pick it up. So fleeting luck, for those of you that don't know, is when a player rolls a 20, everybody gets some like fleeting luck, bonus luck points.
Some sort of a token that represents luck that can be used by that character or shared with their allies.
And that can be applied to your roll. Any roll that you make, not any roll that the judge makes.
The caveat I've had to say a million times and still have to reiterate later in the game. They got a crit on me. Can I roll it? No, rolls you make.
But our good friend Doug and Nicole, they were in that one along with most of their family. Doug actually found out my weakness at the con, that I can easily be bribed. So he was like, as far as fleeting luck goes, if I give you a little cash, can we make it that my ones don't count? If he rolls, because on fleeting luck, if you roll a 1, everybody's luck comes back.
That's why they call it fleeting, because you use it.
You want to spend it.
Yeah, the people hoard it, and then someone chokes out a 1, and all that hoarded luck goes away. It's like, should have used it.
So Doug showed me the money, and his ones did not count.
The good thing too, because I hear that this was one con for Doug,
but they could not get that fleeting luck going. So that was one thing. It's almost like you can run anything and put fleeting luck in there, and it'll be like, wee, that was the most fun. This one, the fleeting luck was not flowing.
And that's a shame, because that's if you're using that, that's always a fun thing for players. I've seen where I went back to run first, second, third level adventures at the old Geek World with our faithful. We had developed that community that played Goodman games and its derivatives, and they would go like, "Are we doing fleeting luck, man?" I'd go, "Oh no, you're first, second
level.
That
you graduated.
Yeah, you've graduated. That's for 0 level characters." Oh man, I'm like, yeah, no, that's the noobs that know powers need that. You've got bells and whistles, But anyway, fleeting luck is a fun concept, which we can thank, I believe, Michael Curtis for that. Even though I've heard
but it came from a lot of different things. Because what was it? I can't even remember what it is in Paranoia. But you have one like that too.
And Savage Worlds turns out uses the bennies that you get so many at the beginning of every adventure. You don't earn, you earn them too during play. So yeah,
But regardless, it's a fantastic idea. It's a fantastic thing for funnels. But funnels are not for everyone. Everyone will not enjoy their character dying.
Yeah, and there's, as much as I think people enjoyed Carnage, you said one of the players might not have been fond of the funnel concept.
Right.
Yeah.
But we had a orangutan firing rifles with a mutant arm. We had another mutant that could change into water. That was kind of like, what is it, the Wonder Twins? So they would turn into puddles of water to get around. That was pretty interesting.
That is funny.
We had a lot of fun. Alan was in that one, if we haven't mentioned our good buddy Alan yet.
Yeah, good old Alan McCoy.
But a good time was had by all. I found a few more things that I can tweak and touch, and I found, the more that you play test these things.
You run it, I learned there's some I've ran, like Bloodbath and Allsville, and still every time I'll go, that's a good idea, or I could change that up, or you know what I'm saying? Every time you run it, you get a good feedback.
Well, one of my other adventures that you guys will be on the lookout for, the Long Crawl, which was an X-Crawl adventure. There's a part where zombies bust into the room. Everybody would start thriller dancing. Every time I ran it,
I think they're the only person ever thought of that.
Somebody in the group would be like, I start thriller dancing and see if they follow along. And they would, because I'm a wonderful person. But everybody would think that was the most novel idea. And it was like, the thing is, when you run it, and you've seen it so many times, you're like, everybody comes up with that. Well, in Carnage in the Casino, nobody gambles in the casino.
Which is funny.
That's the funny thing to me in that one.
It's a casino. And I remember when he first wrote it, he put these extensive gambling rules in, and then nobody gambles.
Which, that doesn't hurt my feelings, but it's just, that's the interesting things that you learn.
Yeah, watching people, the commonalities.
Somebody like a Brendan LaSalle, our other good buddy, name drop, when he runs stuff, and he, just imagine how many cons that he goes to during a normal year. So, I mean, if he's at 30 cons a year.
But that's probably wonders why his adventures are so good, because he's ran the crap out of them. He's had ample play testing. But
right, but how many times do you think somebody in his adventure comes up with a brilliant idea that he's like, and that is number 72 that I've seen that.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Well, it's just interesting, though. It's not like Groundhog Day, but it's interesting how this really off-the-wall idea, everyone will come up with that. I guess it's kind of like the 1,000 monkeys with 1,000 typewriters.
They'll bang out Shakespeare eventually.
It'll come out, yeah. So that's the thing that'll come out.
That's funny.
But so that one, Carnage Casino, moves ever forward towards actually getting published.
Ooh la la.
It will come out. It will. It may not be any good. Doesn't matter to me. It's just got to get out at this point. That little bird has to leave the nest.
So what imprint will it be under?
Probably Long Con Publishing, because there's just so many different brands that we need. Yeah. This should probably be the Long Con Podcast, but there was already one. But there's already a No Class, I think, somewhere out there.
There actually is.
That's why we're No Class RPG
podcast.
I don't know, people.
All right. Well,
but it could always be long shot, because you're taking a long shot.
If you're trying our stuff out.
But it is kind of a long con. We're running a long con too.
Exactly.
Because we're reeling you in with these podcasts and conventions and then selling you our shoddy merchandise.
Exactly. All right. Well,
check us out on TeePublic.
Yeah, please do. And if you do, and you attend
if you
attend NTRPG, which you should, because it's just awesome, on, what is it, June 4th, which is Friday, be sure to wear your Long Con paraphernalia.
And what do you get?
Something excellent, wonderful, stupendous.
It's so wonderful and mysterious, we can't even tell you about it now.
It's on double secret probation. All right. But definitely wear it. You'll be glad you did. And we'll really be glad you did.
You got anything else for Saturday?
I'll just say one of the highlight, it's good to see so many of our old con goers and friends. We haven't seen Alan in a while, and it's always good to see Fergie, and we got to see Adrian and Jonathan. And
Adrian.
I could drop names all day long, but it's all these people, that I love seeing y'all, and that's the highlight of the con for me, is seeing our con buddies, our friends.
Yep.
And so I got to sit in the evening like an old man in the corner and sip some potato water and talk with some of, the old gents that we got to share war stories and lies and tales and just laugh until our sides hurt.
Yeah, so there's somebody you haven't mentioned, is Garrett, I think.
Yeah, Garrett Vans, or should we say Viagra? Mm. But anyway, but yeah, it was just great to cut up and hang out and, commiserate. And that's a lot of the fun for me, these cons a lot too, beyond the obvious gaming and.
Yeah, I'm really getting to know David at Games a lot better.
Yeah. David's phenomenal. I really like David. He's a class act.
Yep. Oh, and speaking of that, not that anyone will hear this in time, but I think in about 2 weeks they're doing a flea market
swap
game exchange thing, and I'm a little jelly. I wish I was up for that.
So I was fixing to say, I'm kind of, if I had the time off, it's not far, a 3-hour drive. I could unload. I could do the swap-a-roo, and I love stuff like that.
Me too.
That's brilliant. And David's brilliant. Like I told you, where does he come up with this stuff? He's an innovator. He's a genius.
And speaking of geniuses, now that some of the cylinders are firing again, you saw that our good friends at Geek World are doing a dice Kickstarter,
which is clever.
So
they should do class dice.
3, 2, 1. So keep an eye out for that. We'll try and post some more information up on that as it comes out, but the Kickstarter is not active yet.
Yeah. That's smart, though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to edit that either.
Good. It was a joke, people. Lighten up. All right. So that's enough. Sunday, what do we want to say about Sunday?
I ran a game on Sunday.
Did you run it by yourself?
Of course not.
Uh-oh.
This is one thing that I think is, I don't know, I'm sure other people in the world do this, but this is one thing that I think can become a long con draw, is to get destroyed by myself and our good friend Gary, because we have the right amount of evil in our souls.
I was going to say, Eddie's evil chocolate blends well with Gary's evil peanut butter.
So that is where you can get a serious challenge. If either one of us separately cannot give you enough of a deadly challenge, put us together, and you will get the deadliest of alliances.
Yeah, flaming oil and poisonous water. But I was going to say, I was telling all the players before they went in, I was like, Buenas muertes. Buenas muertes. So I think they appreciated that.
But that was against the Giants, against the Frost Giants, part of it. Mm-hmm. And we still got, our Giants and Dragons still got whipped. Yeah. But at a certain point, especially in 5th edition, it's coming. Yeah. The party, they're so hard to be challenged.
Oh, yeah. And the Iowans were bringing the heat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, any other shout-outs or anything from there?
No, I don't think so. We had a good guest, Jill and Charlie, as I said.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming all this way. That made us feel extra special.
Yeah, heck yeah.
But, all right. Anything else?
Sunday I pretty much sit at the desk and stare off in the distance and pack up or whatever.
Yeah. Then we ripped everything off the walls and ran out of there as fast as we could, like they were going to charge us with theft or something. I don't know.
Absolutely. Packed it up, packed it in. Yep.
The fastest loading and unloading con in the world, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's like a lot of our flair. I didn't put it out. I was like, meh.
What about Rick?
Well, whoa. Right.
You've got to have that flair.
Duh.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like it's getting easier as we do them, and they're getting faster. But they just go by so fast now.
Yeah. I didn't. You know that you say that. Yeah, it just seemed like whoosh. Yeah. So what would you contribute that to? The con going so fast, it seems.
I think a lot of it is that we're just busy.
Mm-hmm.
We're running games, and when we're not running games, there's somebody that wants to discuss something. There's always something going on. And really, there's always something to check out, too. Because a lot of times if I had free times, I'd go over to a vendor, and then after I've perused everything they've got, I'd have a conversation with them for an hour or two. So
yeah, that's me and poor David. I talked his ear off. We were talking about newer games and award-winning games and what we thought about them and our love for Black Hack and just, And David, that's one, like I've said, I always admire game shop owners that are knowledgeable about their
He's
product.
a gamer's gamer.
Absolutely. He's very knowledgeable about, he's got his finger on the pulse. But anyway.
Oh, and just because we're smooching on him so much right now, he's the one that introduced me to those stat trackers. And boy, have we sold a ton of those. At the con.
Oh, yeah.
The con has sold a bunch, and hopefully all that cash has gone into David's pocket.
Oh, yeah.
Which, for example, didn't he end up winning one from us?
Yeah.
And then turn around and sell it?
Oh, yeah, because he couldn't keep them in stock. He's like, man, I wish I'd brought more stat trackers.
But we encouraged that.
But I will tell you, there's a lot of stuff that people buy that I kind of look at sideways and go, really? I mean, that's just fluff junk. But there's some products that are truly worth what you pay for them, and you're going to get your dollar's worth that you're going to use them. That stat tracker thing is pretty cool. It is a very useful item.
Yeah, like I don't need a new system every time I go into the store, but you can get me with some accessories.
And good accessories. Ones that are, because there's some stuff that's just fluff.
But it's not like, do you own this system yet? Oh, you should pick it up.
Yeah.
Probably not, but it's like, oh, did you get a stat tracker, or did you need a mini or some dice or an adventure for the system you already have?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, and that's great. And some people just love to buy accessories for their games and things.
And some people, Gary H., love to buy new systems.
Yep. Genesis. Well, so what else would we say? Is that pretty much Long Con Sprung, sir?
Yeah, it flew by just like I was talking about. It flew by.
Yeah.
For the listener.
Whoosh.
Not for us. This seems like forever, but as long as you guys enjoyed it, that's the important thing.
Absolutely. All right. Are we ready to pop some culture?
Yeah, let's see how long we can get this out for.
Okay.
Books and comic books.
All right. So, as promised, I read Night Winds from 1978. Night Winds, what we usually have after the chili cook-off. But anyway, it was written by Carl Edward Wagner, or Wagner, I guess. It's a collection of short stories of Cain. Cain is this badass swordsman sorcerer, not a nice guy. He is an anti-hero, much like Elric of Melniboné, who again also is a capable swordsman and a sorcerer. And there's been some comparisons made, but people would call these pulps sword and sorcery mixed with gothic horror. Anyway, reading the stories, Cain's not a nice guy. His name
is Cain, and he's not a nice guy.
I know.
I can't believe it.
And literally, he is supposed to be. He is in the novels. He alludes to like he's basically the Cain.
The Cain.
Yeah, and so he's been cursed with immortality. He's lived through the years. So anyway, they were decent. I mean, it's definitely worthy of the Appendix N, even though it was never really in the list of Appendix N works. Some people believe that its omission was a terrible slight because.
Was it a purposeful slight?
I don't believe that it was. And there's nothing I found that says, but it just seems, it's just ironic to people that this wasn't part of Appendix N. But anyway, So that's something you might, see your mileage may vary. Check that out. The thing is, but I will say this, maybe they weren't as popular as some other things because to find these books aftermarket is tough, and you really can't find them in print like a collection omnibus of them. You can get them dirt cheap if you're the guy who uses an e-reader or reads on your phone, computer, whatever. But as far as if you're that guy like me that wants to hold the book in your hand, you're going to pay a premium if you can find it. So there's that. Any books for you?
Comic books, of course.
Okay, and then I have one. Go ahead.
Oh, wow.
No, you first.
Well, we'll do a comic book sandwich.
Yeah.
I read Why the Last Man. I'm sure you've heard of that before. That was hot poop for a while, and it was making all the top 10 lists of best comics.
I've never heard of it.
So I guess kind of your post-apocalyptic thing again.
Oh.
What if all the men in the world died?
Oop.
And there was only one man left, and that's your boy Yorick, who is the titular character of the book. Mm-hmm. I want to say it was about 70 issues.
Wow.
And that's where I was like, I started about issue 20 or so, where I was like, and this isn't really reeling me in. Mm-hmm. But then I ended up with a little time to kill. And of course, I've got to be the completionist and finish things. Mm-hmm. So I read the whole thing and confirmed indeed that this was not a comic for me.
Sad that you had to get to the last comic to go, wow.
Well, you just get to a point where you're like, okay, now I just got to know, how does this end? Mm-hmm. I'm not interested. I'm not invested. Mm-hmm. But okay, just tell me the ending. And I probably could go I'm going to go on Wikipedia and see. Yeah. This is the final line. Mm-hmm. Not a fan. Mm-hmm. Not a fan. I'm sure there's somebody out there that would love it and defend it to their death, but it was really dull in my opinion.
Not your cup of tea.
I didn't like the ending, so it is a thing. It is out there. It exists. If you would like to see what one person's interpretation of a world with only one man left would be.
But you got to figure that.
There you go.
This, you said that was on a number of people's top 10
lists
or whatever. So, I mean, somebody out there obviously thinks it's hot.
And I will say one of the big takeaways is that it doesn't get any better. If you were if there were no men, there would be no war. Mm-hmm. No, it's just as violent and brutal and senseless, kind of like Walking Dead. Mm-hmm. It's just there's another type of violence now, and it's the real horror is the other survivors. Yeah. We're the Walking Dead. Yeah. So it's one of those. I mean, write your college thesis on it and get back to me.
There you go. All right. So I've been reading a comic. Woo-woo. Head
Dirty
Lopper.
Never heard of it.
There you go. And I'm not entirely surprised, but it's from Image Comics.
I've heard of them.
It's a fantasy novel, comic book. It follows the exploits of the Viking warrior Norgal and the severed head of Agatha the Blue Witch. Anyway, and so it was interesting. I think, as I remember, the guy who wrote it did a Kickstarter for the first issue, and it kicked and it did well. And so then it did well enough and drew enough attention that then Image heard about it, and they said, we want to bring you under our umbrella or whatever. And then but the thing is, it's quarterly, so it's only 4 issues a year, but you get an intact story. But each individual one's pretty packed with pages, so you get your.
Is it ongoing?
It is. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think they've completed, but I think the guy, there might be some lulls or something in between, but he does them, I'm pretty sure, quarterly, so he has time for, creation. And I think the artist does the writing and all that sort of thing.
Wow.
Yeah, and but no, I like the style of the artwork, and me, I don't like real polished, and so I love the look of it, and I like the stories are good. I mean, it's definitely fantasy, and but anyway, I was just going to read a few, and then I caught myself. I slammed through the first 4 and the next 4, and then about 2 into the third quartet, and so I'm enjoying. I'm not saying it's the best thing ever, but I've enjoyed it. And so if you like fantasy, swordsmen, a little bit of sorcery and medieval concepts and stuff, I think it's good. I like it.
All right.
Yeah.
And then I will be the same dead horse as always, or the same dead Hulk as always, because the Immortal Hulk just came out yesterday. Mm-hmm. That was its release date. So, man, as soon as those come out, I'm first in line to read that. That's kind of whatever's going on, whatever I have scheduled in my day, screw that noise. I'm going to read the Immortal Hulk
Forget
and see
that
what's
prostate
going on.
exam. I'm going for my Hulk.
Well, then you can do both at the same time.
Exactly. Moon River.
But as I've said before, the Hulk is the horror of this one.
Oh, yeah.
So he was getting beat down last time, and all of a sudden, the tables, they turned. And he was just beating down the UFOs, if you remember them.
No.
But that was another one of those like cosmically powered groups. But he gives them a beat down. He turns the table on them because they were gleefully beating him down last time. So he's horrifically beating them this time, where they have to flee in fear of their lives.
Yeah.
So then Hulk rolls into town. He starts having a few drinks at a local bar. And who shows up to ruin his good time?
The Avengers.
The Avengers. Thor, most specifically. Which that was actually, Thor had a pretty good line in there because the Hulk's just like, whoever came in, if you want a drink, it's on me. We're having beers and whiskey. And he's like, make mine a mead. You're like, okay, you know who that's going to be.
Yeah, who that is, yeah. That's cool.
So as always, once again, Immortal Hulk, check that out.
Yeah.
It's the hot stuff. And it's only got a few issues left.
I won't lie. The picture he sent me at work, I pulled up my phone. I was like, oh, my gosh. Yeah, I mean, the Hulk's just grinning ear to ear as he's doing some nasty. I was like, that's a comic. But even I'm sitting there kind of cringing looking at this. You can think of the crap I look at all day long. And I'm like, whoa, that's tough, man. That's tough. Yeah. Good stuff.
All right. You got some TV shows.
Absolutely. So, as I don't know if I ever talked about it on here before because it's been so long since second season, but back when there was this pop-up streamer called CISO, they had this lineup of shows, and there were a lot of comedies. They were funny. They were decent. You know, CISO was pretty much free. It just worked off of an advertisement platform, like traditional TV. Anyway, one of the things on there was Harmon Quest. And it was funny it was a good sell for me to get the missus to watch it because even though it's something like Nerd Poker or what's the one Critical Role or whatever something, but this one it's got comedians and it's got animation, which I love that they did that where it's like some of it's live at the table and a little bit of animation of their characters, what they're doing. And so anyway, we had a lot of fun with the first season, and then CISO tanked. So they came up with the second season. It was about like a year pause in between or something, and it was decent. And then I forgot about it, you know. Well, then the other day on a goof, I thought about it. I was like, whatever happened with Harmon Quest? There's a third season. So I was like, hot dog. And so I watched it, and me and Steph watched it. We had a lot of fun with it.
Oh, you actually watch it with the wife?
Yeah, because it's funny. At first, I once again, typical me, I'm like, ooh, I can get a free week of VRV. Let me hurry up and pack that in and cancel it because I'm that guy. And even though I will say VRV pound per pound, if you like anime, there is it's part of Crunchyroll.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see, I knew you'd know. And I mean, so for the VRV package, you get access to a lot of stuff that's kind of like gaming stuff, and then there's a lot of anime. If you're a nerd or a dork or whatever, you might enjoy that free week, and then you might keep trucking with it. But anyway, watch season 3 Harmon Quest. I enjoyed it, so it was a worthy addition to the canon or whatever there. I enjoyed it. Yep.
All right. Well, I guess since you're talking about comedies and getting your extra subscription going, I turned back on the HBO subscription so I could check out the 10th season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, which you already know I have a love for that.
It's pretty
good. So, yeah, I'm a big Curb Your Enthusiasm fan. Larry David, hilarious.
He's dry like someone else I know.
Yeah, so really good. If you've never checked out the series, check it out. If you have, season 10 was really, really pretty good too.
You know who really stood out on that show for me when I reflect back on? I've watched a lot of the older seasons. Wanda Sykes was hilarious on there. I mean, I don't know about you, but I just think the time when he double clicks the clicker, honk honk, locking the door, and she's like, "What is that about?" Oh man, that was anyway.
Yeah,
because he got so defensive and he starts stammering, and anyway.
My son's a big fan of Leon on there. So yeah, that's really a fun show, and that's something me and him can enjoy together and get a lot of laughs at, much to his mom's chagrin.
Yeah.
You got any other shows?
Nope.
Well, I'll go ahead and whip another dead horse. I've already said Invincible on Amazon. Yeah. It is now complete.
Oh, good.
It was good. Me and the wife enjoyed that one.
Oh, I'll check that out.
So highly recommended. Do check it out. If you want to be a book reader, though, like I said, you read the first 20 issues and you'll be covered to watch the show. So it's not a big investment of time. It's not like you have to read these 3 hardbound novels or something. Right. So I definitely recommend checking out the comics. If you're not gonna, go ahead and watch the show. Really, really good.
Well, good. And that's the thing. I wanted to check it out, but I want them to be, now that it's
Me
done,
too.
I can sit there and binge it. And I will. So I tell you what, I'll check out Invincible on Amazon. You check out Headlopper. Tell me what you think.
I'm gonna. I already made myself a note.
I see that. I saw you scribbling. So, okay. I want to get a little controversial. Dun, 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 maybe.
Hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you have no more TV?
No more pop culture.
You have a movie? Oh, see, you got no more pop culture.
Well, I take that back. This segues into pop culture, but I'll let you.
But do you want
to
do the whole shebang first and then come to it?
Yeah, let's do the shebang.
All right. So movies, you got nothing.
No.
I watched.
Which is ironic, right?
Yeah, I watched Dark Knight Rises and what is the Dark Knight? Is the middle one just the Dark Knight? Now that I'm thinking about it, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and then The Dark Knight Rises.
Or Returns or something?
Is that how it goes? Because Batman Returns in the original trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
So I watched the 2 movies. I really don't need to see Batman Begins again just because it's an origin.
Right.
Like we had talked about in one of our games, we're not doing the origin again.
Yeah, it gets old. By now, we all know how Batman's parents died in an alleyway. Come on, chop, chop. We all know Spider-Man's uncle died in his hands.
But The Dark Knight still really holds up. That's still a great movie as much as it got all the accolades back in the day. Mm-hmm. Watching it again, it held up. I enjoyed it. Dark Knight Rises, it wasn't all that popular at the time, and it wasn't all that popular with me. Again. So, I mean, your mileage may vary. Go back and watch The Dark Knight again.
Okay.
And since I've got the Disney Plus right now, I'll watch the Endgame again as well. Both pieces of that.
And you know what? You should check out Raised by Wolves and tell me what you think about it.
Okay. But the good thing about Endgame when you have it on streaming or what have you is you can fast forward through some of the slower parts.
Amen.
Which when those movies, as long as they are, and I ended up going through quite a bit of the second part through all the and then everyone was gone and this is how we're dealing with it. It's like, okay, that was good to watch originally, but I don't need it in my repeat watching. You can skip right over that. So anyway, there's a few comic book movies. Now we go into the video game section, which
games.
I know you've got 76 going again a little bit.
Absolutely.
So do I. And we were actually chit-chatting away last night over the PSN network. Mm-hmm. And my wife was like, you guys are just addicted to that game again. And I was like, well, no, but I mean, I'm playing it every so often for the dailies. And she's like, well, if I wanted it, it would probably take forever to download all the patches. So I was like, I'm downloading all the patches today. So I think she's even got the itch a little bit again.
Took the hint. Well, and I'll tell you, they had daily quests before for the Settlers and the Raiders. Those were poorly implemented.
Well, there was only 3 of them for the Raiders and 3 of them for the Settlers. So you were doing the same thing over and over. And they were the only ones that gave this certain type of reward.
Faction or whatever.
So it got old in a hurry.
Yeah. So I'll give them that. The dailies they have now aren't tedious. If you just want to get on and do your dailies, and you could go, okay, I know that thing. If I do that, that'll take 30 minutes. You just ignore it. And you do the other dailies, and you can get those points that unlock all kind of cool little freebies. If you're the person that I wants to have this coolest looking shelter or now bomb shelter, you'll get things that you can spruce up that look cool. On the other hand, if you like something to represent your little logo on the map, you get cool new things. I mean, you get a lot of different things. I got 1,000 caps. Mm-hmm. For one of my little dailies I unlocked, and I got bullion last season. I got a lot of bullion, and I don't even know what to do with it yet. When I figure it out, I might kick myself for not figuring it out sooner. But yeah, I got caps and bullion and atoms for buying stuff. So you get, I like the dailies, and I like the little challenge board. So that's kind of what sunk the hook.
Yep.
Because honestly, I've leveled my character to 85, and I haven't even done half the old quests that I did with my old character. You don't have to do those quests to level.
But a lot of games are doing that now. Like, if you'll log in today, we'll give you this, that, or the other.
Well, what was it? The whole time I've been back playing for months, I thought, man, I wish they'd do one of those double experience weekends. And about the time that I was going to pack the game up for a minute, Eddie goes, oh, by the way, it's double experience weekend. I'm like, well, shit, I'm back in. Right when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
And I think last weekend was like double bullion.
And they've done this stuff like there's one recently. They've had weekends where the vendors have a cap on how much you can sell to them. They double the cap, so you could really unload stuff that weekend to the vendors. It's just neat stuff like that.
I'll briefly mention also that I played some Master of Monsters on PS1, which is a fantasy turn-based game, but I haven't played that much of it because of the load times. That's one of the things that's like, you can go boot up your Atari right now and be playing Space Invaders in 2 seconds and getting, after you die, play it again in 2 seconds. And really with like PS4 and 5, the load times are a lot faster. But when you get back to that, I don't know what, like 4th or 5th generation of video games, that's where the graphics are a little bit, they did as best they could, and it looks so much weirder. It's like, it's not Atari where it's like, that doesn't look anything like a tank, but I can imagine. Or like PS5 now where you're like, oh my God, that's an incredible likeness of this actor.
I can see the pores in their face, Holy crap. Yeah.
So just the load time on that one is dragging it down a little bit for me, but I really can't knock it for that. It's not giving me a burning desire to get in there and play because of the load times.
Right. Well, to back up a little bit, because not to gush too much about FO76, but at the con, it was ironic. I had a plasma pistol out of some desk dressing or flare, and it got some conversation started about people that love Fallout, but they're like, ooh, people are really down. And I don't blame them. But if anyone's paid attention, Beth has been notorious about slapping something out too soon. Even the beloved Elder Scrolls titles and stuff. But anyway, here we are 2.5 years later. It's a fully formed game. It's nothing like when it first came out. It's a lot of fun. But if you're someone who's like, nope, they pissed me off, bad first impression, screw them. Okay, you got to live your life. But I'm just saying, if you're someone who's like, oh, I heard all that trash about it, or I played it and it sucked, it's a completely different game. And to that end, in a recent cast, you had mentioned, what they need to implement is loadouts.
Yep.
It's like they read your mind. They've implemented loadouts. And they've implemented some other interesting things, like when you're crafting, instead of having to click over and over to craft 100 rounds or something, now you can say, would you like to craft basically every round you're capable of crafting? Yeah, click, boom, you can make 1,000 rounds all at one go. Or if you make crafting pistols or something, you can craft 5 pistols or something instead of going one pistol, click, one pistol, So they're implementing things so it's not as tedious. And they took away something without even mentioning it that was kind of tedious. But now that you can change your perk loadout. So before you had to wait till you hit 50, and then you had to go in and do it as you leveled. Like you get to move 1 point when you level or something. Or now there's a machine that you can interact with, that you can craft at your house, that you can change
to redistribute your stats.
Yeah, you can redistribute your stats. So that's why they took away that whole thing. Like when I leveled, I went, well, where's the option to pick to move a point or to get a new perk card? Nope.
Cool.
Yeah. And like I said, if you have a lot of excess perk cards, you can sack them for points for your ultimate perk cards or whatever. So, they've done some things to spruce it up. Anyway, enough about that. Yeah.
But still, you need to check out that Outer Worlds at some point.
Oh, yeah. Outer Worlds. Yeah.
Outer Worlds is fantastic. As much as Fallout 4 didn't really scratch the itch as much as I had hoped it would, Outer Worlds, yeah. I'm all about it, baby.
But it's kind of a throwback, right? It's more role-playing.
Yeah.
Feels more like 3.
Yep.
Yeah. And in New Vegas.
And I guess we have to give a first edition update, too, while we're here, since you actually got to play this time.
Yeah.
For our Osric home game.
Yep.
They've gone in and sacked a couple of statues, just smashing them into pieces, but I'm sure they're still worth a ton of money.
And what adventure is this?
Geez, I can't even remember. This one's against the reptile god.
I believe
something along those lines.
Something reptile god, but yeah.
But I think we're having a good time.
Yeah, everyone seems to be having. I had the one time I got to play with y'all, I had a blast.
I'm trying to think if there was just something that was just completely ooh la la shocking. Thanks to your character being an elf, they found out there were already some elves in town working on the same issue they are. They just hadn't crossed paths yet. And you had a really good time, is what you're saying.
I absolutely did. Yeah, I said that.
All right. Controversy.
Okay, so have you heard that amongst the literal plethora, the just ton of podcasts and game casts and live action gaming and blah, blah, blah that's erupted on the interwebs.
We're starting a second podcast?
No,
Incredible.
No. But did you hear that Jeff Goldblum is doing a D&D podcast, playing an elven sorcerer?
Yeah. So you're going to have to jump on this grenade first.
Sure, I'll be glad to.
Because I have a controversial opinion, of course.
Exactly. So I'll say this. First of all, Jeff Goldblum. I love him as an actor. I've been watching him since the 80s when I was a kid. He was in, what's the one about the first astronauts? I can't remember now. But
Earth Girls Are Easy.
Exactly. But no, I mean, I've enjoyed him in The Fly. He was brilliant in that. Of course, I mean, every nerd out there loves him in Jurassic Park or whatever. I mean, he's been in a lot of really neat movies, some iconic movies. Definitely people that are in the nerdosphere, geekosphere is like, oh, Jeff Goldblum. And honestly, I've never known him to be involved in controversy. So, I mean, seems like a pretty good guy, unless I'm totally oblivious.
He was fantastic in the first Death Wish as well.
Yeah. So,
he played Jughead. Have you ever seen him in the first Death Wish, by the way?
With Charles Bronson.
Yeah.
I probably have, but it's been so long because that's like, Jesus.
Let me blow a hole in you, punk.
Yeah, exactly. Charles Bronson. But anyway,
Jeff Goldblum is part of the gang that breaks into the house.
Well, everyone had to start somewhere in Hollywood.
If I remember this correctly, he basically has on like a little Jughead style hat that's got that little crown or whatever. And you're like, yeah, everybody knew Thug Jeff Goldblum was gonna. Yeah. It's hilarious. Go check that out. You can find that one on YouTube or something.
I have to now. But yeah, like I said, everyone had to start somewhere.
Right.
But all that being said, it's
so we love him, but here comes.
It's like, do we need another one of these kind of things? And also, is this just someone that's
pot, kettle?
I know, but it's kind of like, but also is this just somebody else from Hollywood who's kind of like, not rolling the dough these days? And he's like, what's that? I hear you can make money with these podcasts on the internet or whatever. This podcast you never heard of suddenly has a little, ooh la la, because they've got Jeff Goldblum or whatever, and they know people that are nerds love Jeff Goldblum. So it's baked in appeal or whatever, But what kind of grates on me is if this was
what really grinds your gears.
Yeah, if this was Vin Diesel or this was the guy that does the talk show at night from the Carolinas, Colbert, or somebody that we know has been played D&D in the past, that they're definitely known as that guy. It seems like it's a little more
street
genuine. Street cred. And so it's just one of those things to where, is this a cash grab? You know what I mean? And I'm the first guy to go, there's nothing wrong with capitalism and making a buck or whatever. But so I'm kind of on the fence. I mean, but it just part of it, I'm like, I don't know, man,
You're always a grumpy old man, though.
Duh.
Why don't you love everything like I do?
I know. I'm such a hard ass,
You.
But anyway, so there's
negative.
So there's me, and not to be wishy-washy, I try to be left or right, or north or south or whatever, east or west. But yeah, I mean, I like Jeff Goldblum. I think he's great. But do we need this, and is this just a cash grab? I mean, so anyway, kicking the ball to you, Mr. Eddie.
So have you done any research? Do you know that he does not play D&D?
As usual, I have done minimal research on this. But anyway, kind of like something a while back. But no, seriously, I'm pretty sure, I would bet your life on it, he's never played Dungeons & Dragons before.
So if we take that, which this information, obviously, we could be completely wrong.
This is incredibly dubious.
But if he has never played once in his life, then, yeah. To start with, I like Jeff in his fantastic Jurassic Park movies and such. Mm-hmm. The Fly, yeah. But I don't need this. If he just had a podcast, I wouldn't rush out to listen to it.
Yeah.
It's one of those trendy internet things. It's mm-hmm. like bacon, beards, bees, bears, Battlestar Galactica. Mm-hmm. But or Nicolas Cage. Everybody loves Nicolas Cage, yeah. Ironically.
Yeah. Because honestly, the stuff he's done in the last whatever. But that one horror movie he did was I've watched it. It's kind of cool. It's kind of wild. It's out there. But it's typical. It's really weird. Like he's doing everything's getting really weird that he does.
But he's not really that popular. He's more internet meme popular right now.
Oh, yeah. The picture of him walking with his kid with a cane, a fur coat, and a top hat or something recently. And I mean, he's just, God bless.
So Jeff Goldblum is that kind of like internet meme famous right now with this.
But I want to think this segues into something you've been saying for the last few years. It hasn't happened yet, but we're on the bubble, and the bubble's going to pop. And I think this is the concept that pushes us closer to that bubble popping. You see you know what I'm saying? I mean, I think this segues into what you've been saying for a while.
You're welcome. You're exactly right, though. Everybody jumps on. Right. There's so many celebrities that get involved with it just because it's the hot new thing right now. It's like,
it's hip.
Did you just discover this, though? Yeah. But I mean, hey, there's people that just discovered it, like we were talking about Ron. I'm not like, Ron, you're too trendy or you're too much of a hipster now. So, I mean, maybe we should welcome Jeff Goldblum in with open arms.
Like we said, there's things that have happened in recent years to open up gaming to more people that in another age or another time wouldn't have, couldn't have, wouldn't have tried it. So maybe if there's someone that they haven't had enough things to give D&D credence yet, well, here's one more thing that might nudge them, I guess, is Jeff Goldblum plays. But I have to think if you're already a Goldblum guy or gal, you probably wouldn't be adverse to playing D&D to begin with. I mean,
well, in a way, it's like if you haven't caught on by now, what is left?
What does it take?
How much more exposure do you need? Because I think like Stranger Things was a huge cultural touchstone or whatever. Like everybody watched Stranger Things, and so everybody's like, oh, I guess D&D is okay. Yeah, those kids didn't start worshiping the devil
yet. You know.
But I don't need a Jeff Goldblum thing. He's a wonderful person, but I don't need it in general, and I especially don't need his live role play group. I don't need anybody's live role play group. I'm sorry to say.
I laugh because someone's like, he plays this elven sorcerer brilliantly. Well, yeah, he's a great actor. I'd be concerned if he didn't, but still, because role playing by extension is really a poor man's theater, kind of, if you really get into the role playing, forsooth, you know.
But I almost think, and here's what we'll do our actual live play, is you could almost imagine in your head right now Jeff Goldblum role playing his character, can't you?
Oh, yeah.
Or kind of like a Christopher Walken. Yeah. You're talking to my wizard all wrong. Or, you know, what is it?
Shatner up my warrior. Don't make me come and kick your ass.
He's in that area of the so obviously mimicable.
Yeah, I don't have his inflections down, but he has a particular way of talking.
Wait till they get a load of me.
Yeah, that's what we do. One of us will do Shatner as a warrior.
That's what I'm saying. That'll be our live
Jack
play.
Nicholson as a rogue, and then we'll do Walken as a wizard. We're on to something. This is brilliant.
It's going to be the most horrible thing that you've ever heard, but it's right up my alley because that's the kind of thing.
Yeah. If you're someone out there, if there's a mandate.
No one cared who we were until we put on the mask. Yes, this is our kind of awful. This is the thing that we would do, and you would have to turn away from in horror.
Your eardrums would bleed.
Because then, on top of that, think about all the puns.
Oh. What? Us puns? No
if I'm not back in 5 minutes, just wait longer.
Stick around.
Oh, my God. The horror.
Yeah.
So anyway, you're not a fan of it. Of this podcast.
I mean, that's how I'll say. First of all, you know, it's something I just wouldn't watch, and that's nothing to do with Jeff Goldblum or not. Like I said, if they're thinking Jeff Goldblum will change the paradigm, no. I mean, people like
but you could see them doing that with like Nick Cage too. Yeah. You just change out the celebrity.
Yeah, I mean,
or Shatner.
Yeah. Oh yeah, which would be hilarious, I think. But anyway. But it's I just because I thought that fits the bill for what some of the stuff we talk about. And
so yeah, to wrap it up, I don't want it.
Yeah,
I think it is just a cash grab. This doesn't seem like it's coming from the heart. Like if nothing else, you can say me and Matt are coming from the heart. Yeah. We're gamers.
Yeah, we love gaming.
We're doing this for the love of the game.
Absolutely.
Because the cash certainly isn't rolling in yet.
Absolutely not. We're waiting on that. But you know what? I'm interested to know what other people think.
Why?
Their opinions matter.
No, they don't.
Well, true, but still.
No one should write in. No one should give us any comments. This whole thing should just operate in a vacuum where we are untouched by other people's opinions.
You know what? That's to keep it up,
pure,
unadulterated.
Exactly. This is what you need. If you guys have ideas for episodes, we don't want to hear those. If you have feedback on what we did that was good or bad, keep it to yourself. There are a very few people that are allowed to comment on our SoundCloud, which will be Robert Vegeta, Gary O, and of course Ace. But if you're not one of them...
What about Brian Merchant?
Nope. What? If you're not one of them, please do not comment on our SoundCloud. Okay. Do not send us an email at
noclassrpgpodcast@gmail.com.
Because this podcast needs to stay centralized.
Very much like a computer
Exactly.
in long view.
Exactly. So if you're using this podcast as your workout timer for this one, you've probably died already.
Yeah.
You probably ran yourself to death on the treadmill.
Rest in peace.
Rest in pepperonis.
That's right.
But no, we would love to hear from you.
Please.
That's the reason we're doing this. Luau Lou.
Yeah, he's
Come on,
cool.
you hang out. You hung out this long.
I'm looking to play some games, hang out coming up soon in a month or less.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get to do some cool interviews at NTRPG. We're
John
going to try to do
Watson.
some at Long Con Spring, but that failed horribly. We were entirely too busy.
Well,
That will probably be the case at NTRPG, but who knows?
Yeah. Because, like I said, if you have, and you should have, of course you have some long con gear, and you're coming into RPG because we talk about it all the time, and it's awesome. Wear your gear on the 4th. May the 4th of June be with you.
All right. With that, I can see out there in listener land, they're all out of hit points. We've driven them entirely into the ground.
They're into the negatives.
We'll see you around.